Yo, what is going on, guys? JC here, and welcome back to the final installment of our series about making your own DayZ map. So far in this series, we have went over pretty much everything you need to know, from creating your terrain, importing your buildings and your roads, changing your textures, testing your map in an offline mode, importing custom and modded assets into your map. We went over placing areas with polygons, placing trees and whatnot. We've went over generating a nav mesh and exporting your group POS, and we've even went over changing the actual mask image to change what terrain is actually on the ground. So today is going to be the final and long awaited tutorial on how to create a set of mission files from scratch, how to do a central economy file, how to paint your territories, how to paint your zombies, all of that. This one's going to be a little bit of a longer video. I could probably break this up into two videos, one being the mission files, one being just the painting. I may do that. We're going to start with our painting first. We're going to see how long that actually takes us, because the way I like to do my tutorials, I like to go in depth as much as I can. That way, to minimize the amount of questions someone may have. So depending on how long it takes us to get through that, we might go over the mission files. Believe it or not, the mission files are actually probably the easiest part. But yeah, so we'll see what we can do. So starting off, you are not going to have any of these files. I will be providing all of the files you need. They will be in a Mediafire link below. It's going to just be called test at the moment. What you're going to need to do is you're going to want to, once you download this test.ce, all you need is an XML, a map, and this layers folder, which really the layers folder you don't even really need, honestly, because we're going to generate our own layers as we go. So all you need is this map, and then all you need is this test, and that's all you're really going to need. This test.xml, whenever we open it up, you'll see this is just pretty much a blank this is just a blank XML file that I've kind of already laid out for you that you can build off of. If you wanted to start completely from scratch, you could, but there's really no reason to, because this is just going to save you a bunch of steps. As you can see, the background file needs just to be map.png, and we will have a map.png in here. Right now, I'm just going to be using my Arcadia map that I've been working on. This is where you would import your satellite map. So you're depending on the size of your map. So mine is 10:240. As you can see in this XML, you can change your world size to whatever your world size is. Mine is 10:240. If you're doing a 2480, you would put that here. If you're doing a 15360 like Chinaris, you would just change your world size here. Basically, whatever your PNG image is, that's what this needs to match. And like I said, we're just going to be using my Arcadia one just for tutorial purposes, but this is where you would actually put your the PNG, like your satellite image. I recommend doing it with the roads and stuff built out and the towns. That way you can be a little bit more pinpointy as to where you actually put your territories and where you actually paint. But yeah, so that's all you need. So once you need that, you're going to open up your DayZ tools and you're going to come into the economy editor. Now this looks like a very, very scary program, guys, off the rip, especially if you've never been in here, but it's not that difficult. It's really not. So you're going to come up here, you're going to go to file, you're going to go to load, and then you're going to, wherever you put that test CE folder that we've currently have it, you're just going to open that up. So you're just going to go to the file. You'll see an XML. You just click open, and it's going to load everything that you see right here on my screen. So as you can see, we already have our territories kind of laid out. We have all of our zombies and stuff. Everything's kind of pretty much here for you already. But if you look over here on your layers, you have absolutely nothing. Right now you have area flags, tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is perfectly what we want. If you hold control and scroll in your mouse wheel, it will zoom in and zoom out. And then if you not holding control, obviously just scrolling up and down. So what we want to do first is we want to start painting our tier flags. So you want to have, tier 1s, 2, 3, and 4, however many tiers you want. We need to actually start painting an area. So up here in our layers, we're just going to click this little pencil button and it's going to create a new layer. And then we're just going to double click in this layer and we're going to name this tier 1. Now, while you're selected on tier 1, if you look down here, you have a color and you have an opacity. So this is where you're going to change the color of this tier. So for what we're going to do is we're just going to make it this really blue color. And then you're going to want to adjust your opacity. So we're going to go into paint mode. And for me to go into paint mode, I'm actually going to undock my territories because my screen is weird. I don't know. Whenever I go into paint mode, it jangles it up. If it does, just undock your territories and it'll fix it, because this little brush symbol comes up here. So if this was to be docked, it kind of like overlaps everything and it's just really weird. So you're going to go into paint mode. Now you'll see with our opacity at 100 and we go to start painting, you can't see what's underneath of it. So holding left click paints, holding right click erases. So let's erase all of this. Let's actually increase our brush size here. And let's erase all of this because we don't want this. So with my map, I'm starting my spawns in the bottom. So what you're going to want to do is come down here. You want to change your opacity to probably about 40% ish. Play with this, but I like about 40% because you can still kind of see through it. And before you start painting area flags, you want to click tier 1. So you have to let your CE know that this layers flag that you're on, this paint actually goes to tier 1. So we're going to click our tier 1 and then we're just going to start painting our area. Whatever we want to be tier 1. Here, let's delete some of this. Say we want our tier 1 to just be to this town right here. And we want it to kind of just cover this first little island. Just kind of go over here. And of course, I'm not going to be incredibly detail oriented with this. This is, like I said, for tutorial purposes. My map is far more intricate, but you know what I mean. So say that's where we want our tier 1. Perfect. So now we're going to come up here. We're going to add another one. We're going to name this one tier 2. And we're going to uncheck this one. And then we're going to basically do the same thing. So let's change a new color. So say for this one, we'll do this green. We're going to drop our opacity down to about 40% again. And we're going to make sure we click tier 2. Now, if you want to see where your tier 1 value is, just turn it on. And that's all you got to do. Just make sure you're clicked on to tier 2 while you're painting. That way you'll see that the color is actually a different color now. It's very, very important to note that whatever you're actually clicked on is what you're going to be painting. Okay. So you can turn it on. That way you can actually see it. So if I click on tier 1, even though it's not turned on, it highlights. So if we click off of it, it goes away. But if we actually turn the layer on, the visibility on, we can see it. And if we are clicked on tier 2, we can actually paint over top of it and it's not going to be a problem. You can overlap your tier values a little bit, but you want to try not to overlap too much. So now that we've started our tier 2, let's go ahead and let's just paint, part of this island. This is tier 2. We'll come down here. We'll paint all of this tier 2. All the way up to, like, just say this island. Again, this is just for tutorial purposes. This isn't how you have to paint your map. You choose where you want your tiers to be. You can leave the oceans blank. I tend to not. I tend to just fill in my oceans as well. That way, if I want to put any crashed boats out there or any oil rigs or anything like that, it'll be included in the tier zone that I have. So here's our tier 2. This looks like a fantastically painted tier zone to me. We're good with that. I like that. So now, same thing. We're going to untick this one. We can keep them ticked. It doesn't matter. We're going to click the button again, and we're going to call this one tier 3. Same thing. Let's change the color. Let's go to, I don't know, maybe this purple color. Opacity needs to be at our 40% value again, which this value is anything that you want it to be. And then we're going to make sure we click tier 3. And now you see we start painting a different tier color. This is how you choose where you want your tiers to be, where you want, you know, if you want, like I said, if you want it to be half the map's tier 1, how, you know, however you want to do it, this is how you actually add your tier systems. And then you just paint the map where you feel you need the tier systems to actually be. Now, when it comes to usage flags, all right, so say you want a usage flag. Now, this is my gas zone for my map. Just, you know, I have a static gas. So say you want to paint a static gas. So you're gonna have to do the same thing, but this layer needs to be actually, it needs to be called out the exact way the usage flag is. So contaminated area. Now you can, with this one, you can choose whatever color you want. DayZ usually uses yellow. I'm going to stick with DayZ. I'm going to bring my opacity to about 40%. I'm going to turn on this tier as well so I can actually see it. And then instead of clicking an area value flag, we're going to click one of these usage flags. So I'm going to click contaminated area. And then I'm going to paint this area as a contaminated zone. So now my contaminated usage flag will send this here. The same thing goes with, you can do this with any. So if you've ever played a map and you'll notice like around some of the hospitals, like the buildings around the hospital actually has like hospital loot. I'm going to do the same thing with police real fast. So let's go ahead and bring our brush size way down. So this is in my city, this is my police station. Now this is an Arma 2 building. And then we have over here, we have another, what's it called? Like a little training facility. Well, all of these cars right here will default to village loot, even though that they're, you know, if they're not police cars, they'll be village loot. Well, if I wanted to, what I could do is I can create a new layer, call it police. I can then click on police on this one. Let's change our color to like blue, which is pretty much like police type stuff. Let's kick our opacity to like say 50%, bring our brush a little bit smaller. And I can paint this area dark blue. So even though if in your map group proto, if it's flagged as a village, this usage flag will take over. And now everything in this generalized area, we'll turn off my tier 3 so you can actually see it. Everything in this generalized area will now spawn police loot. We could do the same thing with medic loot. So this right here is my hospital. Well, all of the cars in the parking lot, if you go to like Electro outside of their hospital, all of the cars in the parking lot actually have medical loot. You would do the same thing. As you can see, we have a medic usage flag. So we would just create another one. We would call this medic. You can change whatever color you want. We'll go, that looks like a great color. Bring our opacity down. We click medic. And then we're going to paint the entire parking lot this color. Just paint the entire thing. So everything inside of this that has a usage of medic will now populate in there. So it'll spawn a village loot, but it'll also have medic loot in there. And that's how you do your actual painting. I can't stress this enough, guys. Whenever you are clicking and you're painting something, make sure the actual item is ticked. If you pay attention here, whenever we click tier 1, it goes to my tier 1. If I click tier 2, tier 3, my contaminated area, my police, my medic, you have to attach something to the paint. Otherwise you're just painting and it's not going to, it's actually not, nothing's going to stick. It's not going to stick. And that's how you paint tier areas. So now you're like, all right, JC, how do we do territories? Okay, so territories is a different, it's easier, but it's a little bit of a different thing here. So you want to make sure you're off paint mode. And now that I'm off paint mode, I will I'll go ahead and I'll redock my territories. And we're going to go to our cattle territories. All right. So inside of our category, like I said, I've already completed these. So inside of our cattle territories, I'm just going to hit add a territory, and I'm going to name this territory 01. Now you can name this honestly whatever you want. It doesn't really matter because the territory goes based on the colors, not based on the territory name. So you could make this, I haven't named my towns yet, but say we're going to just call this town 1. So inside this town 1, under cattle territories, what I'm going to do is say this is town 1 and I want cows out here. I'm going to literally just click this new zone right here, and I'm just going to drop it on the map. Now, while I'm in this zone, I'm going to click on the finger button, and that will actually let me select this. Now, your radius, it's pretty we can do the same thing. We can do our opacities here. Our radius is pretty much what it says. So this is a 300-meter radius, meaning anywhere inside this circle is where they can actually spawn. So if we want this to be more pinpointed to, like, say you have a pasture, we could do that. 50 is the smallest you can do. So we would do 50 meters. And then we're going to drag this where we want it. And then you'll see down here your AI usage. You've got resting, grazing, hunting grounds, water, and a dynamic event. Dynamic event is going to be for zombies. We'll get into that in a minute. So you're going to want rest, grazing. Hunting ground is only done for wolves. Well, wolves, bears. You can also do resting for wolves, but that's predatory type stuff. So we're just going to do rest. So the cows are just resting. Now we're going to choose just rest as it is. And then we're going to set our dynamic min. Say we want one bull. And then we want, or for this territory, say we want a minimum of 3 cows, a maximum of 5 cows. And then that's it. We're good to go. So now, if we want another cattle territory, we would just right click up here. We're going to add another territory. If you want to see where your territories are, just literally click it on. So now that we are in territory 11, we're going to rename this, and we're going to call this town 2, for instance. So now that we're on town 2 and we're clicked on it, we're going to say we want another territory. Let's do it right over here. We want cows there. It's going to be the same thing. We're going to click it, click the little finger guy, click this so we can move it around, drop our opacity a little bit like so. And it's the same thing. Say these are grazing. So now these ones are actually walking around. They're not laying down and resting. So these are grazing. So say we can do this one as like a minimum of 2, a maximum of 4, and you're done. And now don't get discouraged. They're all going to look like, the only thing that looks like a wolf or a predator is if you do hunting ground. So they're all going to look like deer. Don't stress that. So those are my 2 cattle territories. Say I want to do another one. I mean, and you would just paint your cow territories wherever you want on your map. Now zombies is where it gets a little tricky, because you actually, so I've already called out the different zombie types for you, but what you need to do is, so let's go to our village. We're going to go to our village one, and you're not going to add a territory like you would up here. So on animals, you add territories. You don't do that with zombies. So you create one zombie territory, and then you add territories here, which create them to, armies, medics, city, NBC, the whole 9. So say this is our first little spawn town. We want village zombies. We're going to make sure we're clicked on village. We're going to hit a plus symbol, and we're going to just drop it right there. Now you're going to like, JC, it's still a cow, or it's still this animal. Okay. We're now going to click our little finger guy, and we're going to click on it to highlight it. And we're going to send this to a dynamic event. Now you'll see it looks like a zombie, because again, zombies are dynamic. So now we have to give this a name, what the event is called. So our event in this case is infected village. If you don't know what the names are for these, literally all you need to do is just open up a set of mission files, go to your events. We have infected industrial, infected firefighter, infected city, army hard, army. That's what we're going to be calling it. So this is going to be infected village. So now what we can do is, while we have this same village, we're going to change this dynamic. So say we want a minimum of, in this town, we'll probably increase our radius to about 100 to cover the entire town, right? So say we want to have a minimum of 8 zombies, a maximum of 10. That's entirely up to you and how you want to run your server. If you want it to be lots of zombies, less zombies, whatever the case may be, this spawn town will have a minimum of 8 Zeds in it with a maximum of 10 Zeds. This is a little hunting camp. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we click on Solitude. Solitude usually has the hunter zombies. So we're going to click on Solitude. We're going to click the plus. We're going to click right here. Now, if you'll notice, the circle's big again, and it basically just copies your last event. So you need to be very, very wary of that when placing, because it's going to copy. So what I like to do is I like to go through and I like to place all of my village zombies first, and then I fall back, and then I place all of my solitude, I fall back, all of my police, so on and so forth. That way you don't have to keep changing this 150 times. But for tutorial's sake, we're going to change it, and we're going to, instead of this being infected village, we're going to call this infected solitude. Just like that. Now, this is a much smaller area, so let's go ahead and let's bring our radius back down to about a 50. And then we don't want 10 zombies here, so say we just want a minimum of 5, a maximum of 7. And there we go. Now that area will have its actual correct zombie spawning. Say we want, this is a little military zone for me right here. Now, these tents are, in my map, these are NBC, these are actual military. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have 2 different territories here. So I'm going to click on my army flag. I'm going to click the plus, and I'm going to drop me this. And I'm going to move him around. 50 is as small as you can get it. So we're going to set him here. This infected is going to be renamed Infected Army. We're going to drop 5 and 7 is perfectly fine. And now on my NBC, I'm going to click another plus. I'm going to drop it right on top of it. We're going to move this kind of like more, just basically right on top of it. And then this needs to be Infected NBC. Of course, these are NBC guys, so we're going to want this at like 2 to like maybe 4. And now that's it. Now we have doubled up zombies there, and that's perfectly okay. Sometimes you can do big territories, or others you can just, it's better to do a bunch of little tiny territories mixed in. But again, to prevent you from having to keep changing your dynamic event, stick to one zombie territory, one zombie type, and just build your entire system, and then come back and do your next. So this is a town for me. So we're going to go back to infected village. I'm going to, again, just click the plus button. I'm going to click this guy. We're going to rename this back to infected village. We want 2 and 4. Let's do like 5 and 9. And now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click another plus, and I'm going to do this. So now what this does is this sets us 2 separate territories in this town, both of which are 5 and 9. So this town, once you glow through the entire town, will have a minimum of 10 zombies up to 18 zombies. You can choose this however you want to do it. Doing your territories, doing your zombie amounts, again, is going to be on a server per server need. Go nuts with it. That's entirely up to you. Now, what you can do is, for instance, I have this really big city up here. And if you're wondering why these 2 are shown and the rest aren't, is because I don't have them clicked. Remember, you have to click them to show them. Otherwise, if you're just highlighted over them is when they show. Your territories will always show unless you actually unclick them off. So for my city, this is a fairly big city, fairly big. So I'm going to go to my city Zeds. I'm going to click this plus, and you'll see it's going to remain the last event that I did. So we're going to name this to Infected City. And then what I'm going to do, let's click our finger guy again, is I'm actually going to make this about a 300 radius. because I want this one territory to cover the entire city, the actual city part of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the minimum to about 25 and the maximum to about 30. So across the entire city, there's going to be a min 25, max 30. But now in the same regard, this is a little residential block, like a little village. I'm going to grab my village. I'm going to add another territory here. I'm going to click on this. We don't want it to be that big, maybe 100. And then we don't want that many zombies. So say we'll just do like 10 to 20. We move it around. We got to rename this again to infected village. And there we go. So now we have 2 separate territories in here. Again, I have, this is a little military base in my city. This little area right here, this is my a hospital. I also have a little clinic right up in here. So I would go to my medics. I would click me a little medic symbol. I'd click on this one. I'd send this to like maybe 50. I'd put it right in there. And then we're just going to do, you know, maybe 3 and 5. And then I have another hospital right here. We want medics at. We're going to do the same thing. And yeah, put it right there. This is all about what you're actually highlighted on. So even though they're all clicked, whatever one that I'm actively clicked on, as you can see, it's highlighted. That's the territory type that I'm going to place. And that's pretty much it. Now, say you want to go back to your wolves. You're going to come up here. Let's go to our wolf territories. We're going to just add a territory. Let's just rename this. We can just, honestly, wolf 1 is fine. You're going to choose a color that you want. Wolves are usually what? Grayish. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. We'll just grab that one. Let's set our opacity just a little bit. And now we're going to click where we want wolves. Say we want wolves right here in these woods. So we're going to click that. Let's zoom in a little bit on this. As you can still see, it's still set as a zombie because it copies based off the last one you did. But we're going to choose hunting ground. And you'll now notice that it goes to wolves. And we're going to do the same thing. You change a dynamic and a maximum min. 3 and 5 seems okay. Now what we're going to do is in this same territory, this wolf 1, we can add another one. So you'll notice how up here we are doing different cattle territories. Now we're having, these are different spawn locations inside the same territory. So they could either be over here, they could be over here. We could add another one to make them over here, just like this. And then we could do another one over here. So now these all, and of course I would probably just do like 100 radius on wolves. That way they're actually wandering. And what you can do to make this really cool is this guy they could be resting. These guys, hunting grounds, it doesn't matter. Honestly, I would choose all of them to be hunting grounds, but you could have them resting as well. That way they're just kind of rested about. So if I do this is all done under one territory. So this one territory has 4 different spawn locations. If you want to create another one, you literally just add a territory. Let's name this to wolf 2. Let's turn this wolf 1 on. Just check it on. Make sure we're highlighted on this one. And then let's come over here and let's put a wolf there. Again, you always have to remember, I really wish that it would just kind of keep the same color going, but it doesn't. So we bring our opacity down to kind of match. That looks somewhat okay. Maybe just a little bit less. Again, you can get as meticulous as you want with this. So now we have this wolf. I just clicked it a bunch of times. And then here's our second little wolf territory. So now these areas are wolves. Same thing goes with a bear. You just add a territory. Let's call this bear 1. We can make the color whatever we want. Let's just go with a red because bears will mess you up. Drop our opacity a little bit. Click this little plus and we'll put a bear over here. We'll put a bear over, no, we don't want to do it that far. That's too far. Over there. And then maybe like right here. Now all of these 3 are bears and they are all in the same. So again, this is one territory, but it can be any one of these spawns. If you don't want to do it that way, you can literally just click on it, hit the red X to delete it. You can just do it as 1. And then you set your minimum to 1, your maximum to 1, set your radius to 300 meters. And now the bear is anywhere inside this 300 meters and he's just wandering. And that's pretty much how you do it. You can even do the same thing. You can do the same thing. So say you have custom Zeds, you have custom mutants, anything like that you want. You can call out your own event. You don't have to, add it to an army line. You can just come up here to zombie territories, and we're gonna rename this one Mutant 1. We're gonna change this color to whatever we want. This looks like a good color, this purple one. Bring our opacity down a little bit. We're just gonna click the add sign. So say you want town zombies, but you want some mutants sprinkled in. You just click it like this. We're going to, again, set this to a dynamic event. We're going to drop our radius down to 50. We're going to set our minimum and our maximum to say, 1 and 3. And then in here, this would be, so I can't stress this enough. The dynamic event is what the event name is called. So if we come back to my notepad with these last ones, so you have infected army. Say we want to copy this event, and then we're going to call this Mutant 01, or just Mutant 01. And then if you come in here, we have Mutant type 1. Of course, there's no spaces. Mutant. God, man, my dyslexia is messing me up big time. Type 2. You would delete these. The Mutant 01. So now what I would do is in here, I would just call this, my dynamic event is Mutant 01. So now it's going to call this event in this little area. Does that make sense? And then it defaults to your event. This is where you would put the type names for your actual mutants. This is how you properly do your territories with custom Zeds and stuff. Yes, you could just come here and say, you know what, my infected army, I'm going to put all of these to my custom types, all of these. Well, now you're just using the vanilla Chinaris or whatever. You're just using basically the vanilla ones. It's always better just to make your own territories because it's actually really simple, as you guys can see. And that's that. So what you would do is when you're done and you're ready to export, you're going to make sure everything is checked. Everything is checked. You want to turn everything on. Okay. You're going to come up here. You're going to go to file. You're going to go to save and export all. You're going to send this to wherever your desktop name is. And you're just going to hit over your test.xml, save. It's going to tell me that it already exists. Do I want to replace it? Yes. Now it's going to go through. If you see down here, it's doing its save right now. It'll actually tell me when it's done. So right now it's processing the binary map. Your map is done, territories, save, done. So if we minimize this and we actually come back into our test_CE, we have our territory types. There's all of our territories. Yay. If we go to our map, so this test.map, this is actually going to be renamed area flags.map. So that's what gets uploaded to your server is your area flags. And then that's all you need out of here. The layers, these are just the layers that you've created. These are the territory types. These are what you would put into your server. And then this map PMG, again, this stays. This is what you need. So all you need is, this is like the main important part right here, is you need these area flags and you need your new territories. We've been going for 30 minutes. Oof. I tried to do that as quick as I could. I'm sorry. I tend to wander. You know what? We can do this real fast. This will take all of 5 minutes. So say you want to get Chinaris files. All right. You want to start creating your own mission files on your own server type. So what you would do is, I'm going to use a test server that I have. Let me just go to it real fast. Here we go. We have our gamingwithjc.test. There's 2 ways that you can do this. So you can go to Cherno mission files, DayZ. You can download right here. You can literally download the DayZ offline Chinaris right here. You can just download it from their central economy, which is probably the best way to do it, honestly. Or you can just have a server like so. You're going to go to your file manager. You're going to go to your your missions, and then you're basically just going to download this. The reason why you want to download this is because you want to upload it again as empty.yourmapname. It needs to be empty.yourmapname. I can't stress that enough. So empty.yourmapname. Now, once we're just going to use mine again, we have Arcadia. What we're going to do is the area flags.map. This map right here is literally the map that that's the wrong folder. You guys just saw all my feet pics. That map right here is the map that we just exported, area flags.map. So in fact, let's not capitalize that because it's not capitalized in Chernarus, or the default. So you just upload this to your server, or wherever you're doing it. Done. Boof. Now your area flags are done. You're going to go into your environment folder. All of these territories that are from the base Chernarus file, you are now going to replace with the territory types that you just exported. So there's one of two ways you do this. You could literally delete them all off the server, then just upload all of these, or you can go into each individual one and then just copy all of the contents from here into here. However you would decide to do that is entirely up to you. There's nothing special about making mission files. You're going to take a vanilla copy of files and you're just going to upload them to a server and you're going to make the necessary changes. I have already went in. I have already shown you guys how to generate a map group POS. I've already shown this. I've already shown you guys how to do your map group cluster. That's part of the video that was going over the nav mesh and the map group POS. The event groups is all, you don't have to really worry about that. You're going to have to go in, you're going to have to make your custom event spawns, if vehicles and whatnot, you're going to need that. But pretty much that's it. Honestly, the bread and butter, the hardest part of all of this is just literally, now you'll notice if we load this, all of our territories are going to be back there because we've overwritten that XML. The hardest part, this looks like a very well painted map, I must say. The hardest part is actually getting to this stage and doing all of this. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you create a custom economy file in the economy editor. That's how you do your flags. That's how you do your painting. This is how you place your territories, so on and so forth. And that's it. Now, if you're looking for car spawns, the player spawns, all of that, I hate to break it to you, you gotta do it in game. You got to go in game, place a vehicle. If you want the correct rotation of the vehicles and stuff, you got to go in game. You got to place the item. You got to copy the coordinates. You got to copy it over. It's a long, grueling process. There's no easy way to do that. Not that I've found. Plus, I'm the type of person that I like to do things line by line anyways. So it's not a big deal. But so all of your event spawns you have to manually do by being in game. Your player spawns you have to manually do. Building spawns, those are handled by your map group POS. Zombie spawns are handled through here, and zombies, animals, all of that's all done through this territory types. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's how you do it. This is a very long video. I do apologize. This was like, we're coming on 40 minutes. I tried to be fast, but as detailed as I possibly could. Guys, I just want to thank you. Seriously, the amount of support that I've gotten through this entire building a map series has been absolutely insane. The amount of YouTube members that have went up has been crazy. Just the amount of subscribers we've gained off of it, I really appreciate you guys. I mean, it's been a blast. A lot of people have joined the Discord, and I'm getting to see pictures of their maps, and everyone's just so happy because they're finally able to make a DayZ map of their own. And it's been very rewarding to me. So from the bottom of my heart, I genuinely appreciate all the support that we've gotten on this series. You guys are absolute freaking legends, man. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this folder. Where's it at? I'm going to have this folder into a Mediafire link for you guys to download. I'm going to keep it the way it is. That way you guys can just kind of go in and edit what I've done. If you want a fresh file like what we started off with this morning, you know what? I'm gonna give you guys both because I'm such a nice guy. I'll give you one that we've started on, and then I'll give you a fresh one. How's that? That way you guys can kind of follow along with what you've done. But listen, I appreciate you guys very much. So I really, really do. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blast doing this little series. I think we're pretty much done. I really don't think there's much more to go over in terms of building a map. This was the final piece of the pie. All right, guys, I'm just I can ramble forever. I'm used to live streaming where I just talk forever. So listen, I love your faces. Thank you guys for watching the series. You guys have been an absolute blast. You guys have been a blast. And we'll catch you in our next video. Love you. Bye.